Hey, wake up. Hello, ready for some spiritual manna? Hello and welcome to the Good Info Cafe, where multiple intelligences meet each day. I'm JK. Today as it is in heaven on earth, as it is in heaven. This is also tuned to A432, I'm pretty sure, which is better than A440 in my experience. It's warmer, it's more natural. And so today, with my very inexpensive guitar, get my knee out of there, sorry. Good to be back. Lots of important stuff. So here's the menu for today at the Good Info Cafe. Let's see what I can get to and say. I'm looking at my notes. Song called Restore Me. A song called I'm Gone. So one of the things is, once again, Sundays and Wednesdays. Good to see you all at the Good Info Cafe. The regulars and new visitors. You're going to get spiritual manna. You're going to feel better in general when you finish watching these videos. So it gives you some hope and energy for the rest of the week until the next video. And so I'm focusing this what is it, 7 months that I've been doing this. Now I know that I'm going to focus on original songs and public domain songs because of the YouTube and copyright strikes and things like that. So I know when I was doing videos or doing parody songs with George, he did get some copyright strikes, not a lot. I was always concerned about it. So now so that's why. Public domain songs, originals, and then don't have to deal with that. And then I'm going to clarify about believers and not believers. A little question about Freud, Sigmund Freud, and his theory of human development. And I'm going to grade Epstein, the coverage of Jeffrey Epstein by the controlled media. So that's the basic idea. So I'll do that grade right now. And this is the scale, and this is a 0, and this is a 50%, which is failing, and this is an A+, 100%. The controlled media, the corporate media, the mainstream media, the bought and paid for media, they're doing terrible coverage. So the good coverage only happens when they're forced to do it. So I'll give them a C because they were forced, and there's so much information they're not giving you access to. So yes, the power of the media, nothing's more powerful than the power to leave out information, the power to not report on stuff. So they get, they're a D, actually, their coverage. So what he did was horrible. People knew it. InfoWars and Alex Jones have been warning about it for a long time, as have many people. So of course they're going to go after the cabinet secretary. So he did resign, probably the right move. So he'll get a B or an A for doing that, just to move on. Understand they have fine lives. People in that position, they can afford to resign. It's not a big deal. For other people, you lose your job, it's a huge deal. So, but I'm sure he sounds like a good, honorable guy. But anyway, that's who they're going to go after. They're going to go after, and Trump kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago years ago, said he was creepy, that kind of thing. So they are going to try to tie it to President Trump, but it is tied to a lot of very wealthy people. So it's justice. It's a matter of justice. So there's the grade. In terms of priority rating, is this where my one is? Yeah, this is the top priority, is the survival of life. The justice for pedophiles and sexual deviance is a top 10 priority because of what that would do to the restitution of all things, to restoring the world to the way God originally meant it to be before the fall. And I'm going to sing about that, but I'll first do my this song. So it's called I'm Gone. And Norm, if you want to learn it, let me know. It gets a little complicated. It's all major 7th chords, all major 7th chords, the whole song, and just moves around a lot. And I wrote it in University of Miami when I was at music school and playing on the varsity soccer team, and then I was recruited by the Fort Lauderdale Strikers, but I chose music instead. I felt like I could be with her whenever. A rainy day when sun shone through the weather. Oh, she's gone. Now I'm one. Oh, she's gone. Now I'm one. I felt like I could be with her whenever. A rainy day when sun shone through the weather. Oh, she's gone. Now I'm one. Oh, she's gone. Now I'm one. Oh, I'm gone. No, I forgot the rest of it, so I'll have to remember it and show it to you later. I'm Gone, University of Miami Music School. All right, so important. So here we go. The channel, many people won't be transparent about their belief system and way of life. Many. And the worse that their belief system and way of life is, the more they're going to cover it up. I want to be as transparent as possible. I'm trying to get my ugly legs out of there. And I don't know what this means. There's Jerusalem right there. I'll have to figure out the direction. The way you would see it from, yeah, there it is. The way you would see it on a map usually is like that. So this is south, north, Jaffa Gate. Damascus Gate is around here. The Temple Mount is right in here. The Wailing Wall, Western Wall, is right by the Temple Mount, just right outside of it. This is the Mount of Olives right here, Garden of Gethsemane. One of the theories about where tradition says where Virgin Mary was born, but I think she lived in Ephesus, and I did go to that house. And here's the city of David, and there's new information about this shape in the city of David and the Temple Mount and the Ophel and Area G and the Gihon Springs and the King's Garden, Pool of Siloam, runoff from the Gihon Springs. Just incredible. I don't know what this shirt is. I have plenty of things. And now I'm doing videos. I need to be more. So that's one of the things in this video, and thank you, the feedback, is to be more intentional. So Brent sent an awesome comment to clarify things. And I wanted to say that of the 7 months, there's nobody of the... So I want the channel, I'm seeing it as a good place. The Good Info Cafe should be where believers and non-believers, people's belief system and their way of life, which is a system, should be able to meet at the Good Info Cafe and have it can be a passionate exchange, but the cross the line is when you attack the person's, attack the messenger, all those things that I'll talk about. I have a list of the things that keep people from being information literate. So people who are information literate are welcome, whether believers or not believers. And I did notice that looking at all the believers, and I'm extrapolating that Sean and Cherie and Frank and Norman and don't let TiVo, I think. I just know that there are believers out there that believe, and I'll define it, and then there are ones who aren't believers like this, but they still believe in God, or they believe in the mysteries of the world, whatever. All those people should be able to meet here at my channel at the Good Info Cafe, and using information literacy and all the charts that I've shown you as a foundation, which is external from me, meaning hold me accountable to the same standards that the channel and the commenters are being held by. But I noticed that the believers never said, don't do secular stuff, only do believer stuff. That none of them have said that for 7 months. And so I want Brent to spearhead being he's not this kind of a believer from what I understand, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but a believer in God and nature, how God wanted the world to be, and some kind of a God, but more of a universal. And so that is this group. So once again, many won't be transparent, and sometimes it's not relevant, but a lot of channels it's relevant to know what the person's background is and their biases. I have my biases. I'm a believer. I accept Jesus as my Savior. I'm born again. He's the greatest man who ever lived, and he's not just a man, because as the greatest man, there's more to it. But I want this channel to be a place where believers, I'm going to try to cover up the sun there. I didn't shut that. I always forget. Where believers and non-believers, the believers of Jesus was the Jewish Messiah, and he made heaven accessible to everybody, and he opened it up not just from the chosen people, and that's the break. We're still the chosen people, and you weren't the Messiah. We want a King David Messiah, so they're still waiting for the Messiah, but a very small group. Billions are Jewish Christians, because Jesus was never not Jewish. He celebrated the many Jewish holy days that were going on from that time. So a place where believers and non-believers can have a free exchange of concepts, ideas, and I just had a discussion it was a model for this with somebody close, and sometimes it does get passionate and we have to kind of back off, but it was a great discussion about the science of the future, and he's somebody who's very tapped into the climate change and how what we are doing with the weather is affecting us and all that kind of stuff. Sure, weather does affect us. Climate has always changed for millions of years, but more specifically, he's saying it's going to a bad place. So I said, as long as you hear what I have to say and are open to hearing that everything you just described about all the destruction and the end of the world and all that kind of stuff because of climate change is in the Bible, or, in the same ballpark, meaning the description of all the destruction in the Bible is very similar to when non-believers talk about the destruction of the world. So we need to meet together, and of course we'll witness from our direction, but they'll witness from their direction. But don't be afraid of, be strong in your faith so that you can keep that faith and engage, and you can be strong in where you are. If you're not accepting of Jesus, that we can still exchange ideas. So that is what my next concept of refining the Good Info Cafe, where believers and non-believers can meet and an exchange of ideas, a free exchange of ideas in a good way that's going to maintain the good and help improve. So what did I say? My goal is to maintain the good and change what I should of the good. So, all right. The question for today is Sigmund Freud, his theories of human development, which means from birth. I don't know if he did anything in utero. He talked about from birth to death. Can those at all be reconciled with anything of the Christian perspective? Can it be with the Christian perspective? Can anything that Freud said also be not against what the Christian principles are? That's my question for today. I already gave Epstein coverage of the corporate media, the controlled media, a D to a C, because they have to. Just understand that they have, it's already out there, so they have to, and then they try to spin it and they cover up all the ones that they are paid to cover up. All right, so what was the main thing is, oh, and I'll do, a believer type song and a non-believer type song on this channel. So I am gearing towards having former CIA spy Raleigh Flynn, because she came out that she was a spy about 6 years ago for her character. The Homeland TV show on HBO was based on her. And she said this is what they do get right, and then it's Hollywood fantasy. And when I talked to her about that, and I sing with her, is that any of the guests bring a food, a nutritious input, and I haven't done my so I'm about to do it. I did bring it. That they bring something, that we break bread. So I'm about to break bread. So get your food. Pause the video. Okay, we're back. And then they bring music. So if she's a musician, she's a singer, so we'll sing some songs. But and then they can help think of a question of the day and help give a grade of something. But if they're not a musician, then they bring their favorite songs, 2 of their favorite songs, one that might be towards the worship, like maybe Amazing Grace if they're not a believer, but they like that song, or something that they like that's a worship song, and then one that's not a believer song. And then I either see if I can learn it, or I play it as we're doing the video, or I put it on the video later when I learn how to do that. I want to keep things simple, but what am I doing here? Okay. So this is, so I think that's it. That's the main point. So thank you for being here on this Sunday. The idea is that you'll feel better. You have hope for the world after watching my videos. And you have that until Wednesday, and you can go back to the video to look at it. And Norman, any of these songs, you can always ask me, and I'll show you how to play them. Brent, lead the way for the non-Jesus-centered Jewish Messiah believers in how we're going to make this work for all types. And I know that believers never said, don't do that secular stuff. They just enjoyed what I had to give. But I am also a believer like they are, so I get that. But we're open. Free exchange of ideas, and I'll get the next one. That'll be good for next one, is to show the list of what is not welcome here. Restore me, O Lord. Restore me, restore me, restore me, and the Lord restores the world. Restore me, restore me, restore me to the place before the fall. Restore me, restore me, restore me, and the Lord restores the world. I struggle every day, Lord, to walk with you in truth. You say to love your enemies, I find so hard to do. I'm caught between eternities, so thirsty for the King. I see the day when out on knees we sing. Restore me, restore me, restore me to the place before the fall. Restore me, restore me, restore me, and the Lord restores the world. Restore me, and the Lord restores the world. Restore, restore, restore me, O Lord. Restore me, restore me, restore me, and the Lord restores the world. All right. So what stayed from the beginning is music, fun, big serious concepts, information literacy, and hope. They're still here at the Good Info Cafe. Spiritual manna, me trying to deliver spiritual manna, being open, being a conduit for God to deliver spiritual manna so that you can have that until the next video, hope for the week. And the Good Info Cafe, and you guys, the regulars, and then we'll try to attract others. So I am ready to get more. Not sure when I'll do the this former CIA spy Raleigh Flynn video. I didn't make it to church today. I got home really late from a trip to the lake, and was just feeling too out of it today. A lot of activity yesterday, so I think Raleigh was there today, and I didn't get a chance to talk to her. So here we are. I think that's it. So far, I think that's it. So far, I think that's it. Goodbye, I think that's it. Goodbye. I'm just looking to make sure. Oh yeah, and here's Glad I'm Gone written out as a chart. Boom, you see it's all major seventh chords. I'll pull it back here. So that's my original song from my college days, when a woman broke up with me, or a young woman, a college age woman, broke up with me, and then eventually I was like, after I got over it, okay, I'm glad she's gone. This is cool. We're in an end of an age. There's definitely an end of an age, but what age are we in the end of? But are we in the end of times? Oh yeah, okay, got it, I almost forgot. Sitting right there. So what is it? It's Glutino, forever gluten-free wafers, milk chocolate, because I have to be gluten-free, and I'm also a diabetic, and so I shed blood every day. I test my blood sugar. So here we go. Are we in the end times? Remember, it is 1,000 years apiece after we go through the Great Tribulation. Or maybe not everyone goes through the Great Tribulation. That's a discussion of another time. Are we in the end times?